Joining us on set now, Chief Market Strategist and CEO at Market Rebellion, Marc LoPresti. We also have litigator Rebecca Rose Woodland. And we're gentlemen here, Mark, so we're going to go ladies first.
Amazing.
All right, no problem. Rebecca, what happens with the case?
Wow. Tomorrow you're going to see when you say blockbuster, this is really big stuff. Can the president declare a national emergency and declare that tariffs are within a national emergency so that he can set those tariffs rather than Congress? So there's a Commerce Clause in the Constitution that says usually Congress has to regulate tariffs. But there are some exclusions, and the president has said, hey, IEEPA, what we just heard Mr. Cozy talk about, this law that allows the president to say in an emergency situation, he can regulate. Is this an emergency situation? Yes. The president is saying we are in an emergency situation because there's an imbalance of power with trade. And the only way to help that is for the president to step in and negotiate himself. Congress is not negotiating with foreign leaders. The president is. And he says, I need this. I need this ability to negotiate and regulate tariffs to help the American people. America first.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone in Congress is smart enough to do these negotiations, honestly.
I mean, well, they haven't thus far.
That's why
they haven't. That's why we're in this place. That's why tens of thousands of factories have left the United States. Why we don't produce enough of the critical things that we need. Pharmaceuticals, one, Mark. Steel.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, couple things here. One, if the Supreme Court rules against the president's use of IEEPA in this context, I'm going to be surprised for a couple of reasons. One, this is an unprecedented decision before the Supreme Court. It's never been challenged before. Two, this is a piece of legislation that gives the president pretty explicit discretion. And when the Supreme Court is making a ruling, I'm going to pull my legal background out, Bob, on you here. When the Supreme Court is analyzing the activation of a bill that provides the activator with broad discretion, the Supreme Court really kind of needs to get into a judgment call here as opposed to a more typical explicit evaluation of the law. And when it comes down to national security, or do we have a national emergency that would trigger IEEPA, I got one question for you. You used the word minerals or critical. I'm going to add the word minerals to it. When China, a country that is definitely not a friend of ours, steps forth and says, guess what, world? We are going to restrict access to critical minerals that you need for your national defense. Forget economic security.
It's like all the world.
All the world. Yeah. I'm talking about national security. You're not going to get those minerals. The only way the president brought China to the table is with tariffs.
Exactly.
It's the only way.
Yeah, he's employing tariffs as a tool of protecting our own national security. Right. And another issue that we're seeing with respect to this is fentanyl crossing our border. You can call that a national emergency.
It is.
Rebecca, what if the Supreme Court does, though, rule, in fact, against President Trump on this? Does he have other mechanisms in order to implement his tariffs?
You know, I think the Supreme Court will rule, even if they don't rule in a broad way for this, they will rule for President Trump. And what they can say is, if he declares this is a national emergency, they're going to step back. Much like you're saying, factually, they don't want to make that decision. Right. The Supreme Court doesn't have the right to make the decision on what the president can declare a national emergency.
Mark, they're telling us to wrap. So real quick, what happens to all the trade deals that have been, that he's brokered, all the investment that's coming to the country? Because a lot of that is centered around how the tariffs are set up.
They stay in place, okay? And what the president is not saying, and I don't want to show his whole card, is that there are at least 6 other pieces of legislation, 6 other pieces of authority that he can point to, the Trade Powers Act and others, to keep these tariffs in place. And I say that because I know that what I'm going to say is not going to influence the ruling on the Supremes tomorrow. But
you never know.
But if they should rule against him, Bob, we're going to be okay.
Well, you're right, though. The Supreme Court cannot legislate from the bench. So there are other mechanisms. But appreciate your joining us, Mark and Rebecca. Thank you.